forming your relationships, aligning who you are at home and at work.
Woohoo! We are recording, so welcome everybody. And like Rhoberta said, it is our first blab of 2016. We had a lot of great blabs last year, and this year we're so excited because we put together a phenomenal list of topics that will guide us through the year and, enhance our relationship, transform your relationships with yourself and others. Is really where we came from. And I wanted to say, Rhoberta, that I could do a social media show, right? But there's a ton of them out there. And I do a ton of training off of Blab on social media marketing. But the core, the foundation of marketing is building relationships. So,
Yes.
and the very first one you got to get some coherence with is the one with yourself, right? And then when you know who you are and the message you want to bring to the world, and you can deal with other people in the world, magic starts to happen. Great things happen in your work. So Rhoberta and I joined forces knowing that Rhoberta is the expert on relationship help, really, and dealing with difficult people. And you can talk all about your expertise. I'm in awe of. And I just think we have the best conversation. So welcome, everyone. And we're glad you're here.
Oh, absolutely. And we do have great conversations because we have so much crossover. And one of the greatest pieces of crossover is what we're going to talk about today. It's like so many people get all kinds of busy about marketing and how am I going to make money and how am I going to find somebody in my life and how am I going to make things work. And we don't spend the time getting in that relationship, that very basic, fundamental, and deep relationship with ourselves. So then we go madly off in all directions and wonder why we are not getting anywhere and why we don't feel good about ourselves. So we decided to start 2016 with looking at that very piece and why that's so important. And I will start the conversation by saying that if you know what your core values are, you're ahead of the game. If you spend enough time with yourself to know what's fundamentally important to you, what you would not live without, what you would not live in a world that you're creating without, then you already have a step up in knowing who you are and what kind of world you're going to create around yourself. And that's the alignment piece. We're going to speak about others, but that's a fundamental piece that we have to have in our back pocket. And take some time and figure that out. Come down with your best five. I mean, I'll give you a little exercise that I give to my clients, and it's called the values shuffle. Just spend a little time writing down every possible value that's important to you, whether that's family, integrity, responsibility, accountability, love, whatever it is. There are no right answers. And put each one on a Post-it note. And here's where the values shuffle comes in. You put them on the wall from the most important to you to the least important to you. Put those Post-it notes on the wall and come back several times a day and see after a week what your top five are. Because you can shuffle them as many times as you want because you start thinking about it and you start thinking, oh, I'm not sure that's right. So find out what they are. And then you will begin to have that basis to move forward and build a life that actually reflects those values.
And then I would suggest two things. One, take a look at your life. Is your life matching your values? Is the highest priority value reflected in what you're spending the most time? And you might create a list about where you're spending your time.
Yes.
Okay, well, I spend my time working and my value is providing for my family. I spend my time.
Well, that's a match, but
Yes.
The problem is I spend my time working and I say family is my most important value.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And how do you reconcile these things? This is not like light fluff kind of work. I love this shuffle that you've got talking about and coming back to it and then reflecting on your life and saying, am I living my values? If you're not, then something's out of alignment and either you're lying to yourself about your values or you're really out of alignment.
Well, Laura, you've been to my office, so you know that in my consulting room in huge gold letters on the wall is what I consider to be the most important thing I can teach anybody. And what it says is the truth is what you do. Now that sounds so simple, but we're great talkers. The actual fact is our behavior is our belief. What you do says who you are. You can talk about what you wish you're doing or what you're planning on doing, what you're
Right.
fixing to get ready to do forever. But what you do is who you are.
Yeah. And in my feminine power cards, we have a saying. It's one of the feminine power principles that as if your actions don't, and it's kind of like if it's for a woman, it's as if his actions doesn't match his words, believe the actions.
Exactly. Because again, your behavior is your belief. You can say anything else. I mean, I've worked with people who, I think of one woman who came in, I've been working with her for a while. We were really getting somewhere. She came in with a big red mark across her face. I said, you know, what's this? She said, he hit me with a hairbrush last night. And I said, oh, well, that doesn't look like love to me. She said, oh, he loves me. He loves me. I said, how do you know? She said, 3 weeks ago, he brought me flowers and told me so.
She's holding
Come
on to
on.
that.
Yeah, and last night he hit you across the face with a hairbrush. Let's believe the behavior. That is not love. And we do that. We do things like that to ourselves too. We say that we want to eat well, for instance. We say that health is an important value. And then we go out with people and we say, oh, well, it just won't hurt. I'll just have dessert one more time, or whatever it is that doesn't work for you. You give yourself permission to do it. So what's true for you? You actually believe that you want health, or you believe that you can do whatever you want and talk about wanting health because that sounds good.
Now, this is typical human behavior, right? You know, to
Yeah.
say we want something and quote unquote sabotage ourselves or do an action. And it's not that you can't get to the place you want, that you say you want, but it's
No.
about really taking a deep look at why are you not doing those things? What else is in the way? And you have any advice on how people can bring their actions into alignment? Because it's, I saw that Bob Newhart show, just do it or stop doing that. Just
Just
stop
stop
it.
it.
Just
Stop
stop it.
it.
Somehow I think that's not the best advice.
Well, it is, it's great advice, except people don't listen to it because
Right.
we don't realize that much of what we're doing is a habit and a choice. And when we start to look at this deeper thing, if I say, using the health analogy again, if I say health is a really important value to me, and I've thought it through, without my health, I can't be loving. Without my health, I can't go to the places that I value. Without my health, I can't have the career and make my contribution to life. So I've thought it through. I've really thought it through. And then I make a plan. And then life intervenes and I no longer follow the plan. Yeah, we are all human. We're going to go off at once and again, but are we really playing on our own team when we say we value something and we don't act we value something? So a tip for that would be every morning say to yourself, here are my top 5 values. How will I demonstrate them today? And every evening say to yourself, how did I demonstrate my top values today? How do I feel about it? What will I do tomorrow? And then plan it again. Because if you're not doing that, you don't feel good about you. And you may not even realize you don't feel good about that because you're not sitting quietly enough to reflect on what's happening. So put this one little thing in that makes a difference. What will I do today to demonstrate my values? And at the end of the day, what did I do today to demonstrate my values? Get in touch with it. Make it a priority.
And along those lines, I like to do a little exercise that has to do with figuring out what I want. So if your values are a reflection of how you want to live your life, but maybe bring it into the tangible. So family is your number one value. What do you want with regard to family? Or what do you want to feel? And when you can identify what you want, then you can ask yourself a question. What do I need to get there, to have that I can control? Because a lot of times we like to say, well, if he'd only do this, or if she'd only do that, or if that, right?
Then my life would be perfect.
It would be. I did this for years, and you know what? It's bankrupt.
Yeah.
It gets you nowhere but frustrated, angry, and a really bad relationship with yourself because you're always blaming someone else for your unhappiness. So you're a victim to whatever you think you're a victim to. But really, really, you can have your anything you want. You just have to choose it and decide to take an action in alignment with it. And that's what I'm hearing you recommend, Rhoberta, is okay, so what do I need and how can I provide that for myself is like the most empowering question. That gets your creative brain going. It's like, oh, I get to be creative. I can figure stuff out now. And you know what? You don't have to do it consciously. You just have to pose the question. Pose it again and again and again until something you find yourself doing something different. I
Mhm.
found that to work really well. Kind of let it percolate there.
Yeah, I think that goes to something we spoke about on an earlier blab. It's about an intention, and that's a question of intention.
Yes.
That's like, I don't have the answer quite yet, but I'm intending to figure this out. And you put that into your subconscious, and it goes to work for you. I think it's really important to say, though, that if you're not spending time with yourself, none of what we have to say is going to help. If you're
Right.
caught up in the busyness of life and living up to other people's expectations, my partner and I wrote a book called Soul Solitude, taking time for our souls to catch up. And in there we talk about two major predicaments, although there are many more in life. And the two are that we are trying to live up to the expectations of others, and we're addicted to drama. And part of that addiction to drama is, oh, me, I never get anything done. Or, oh, I'd love to do that, but there's no time for that. That's drama too. That's internal drama. And if you can get down inside by sitting quietly every day, better a couple times a day, um, and say, what's really going on? I use this demonstration, Laura, because I think it makes sense. Our world tells us to live like this. This is our head and this is our feet. So the world says, do more, be more, have more, repeat. Do more, be more, have more. So our head gets out ahead of our feet. And we know that if we stopped, we'd fall on our face. So why we need to sit quietly a few times a day is to simply do some deep breathing and get our head above our feet so we are aligned. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, it's a really good thing to ask yourself, how am I demonstrating my values? Have I gone a little wonky here? Am I going sideways in what I say that I really want? And that way it takes us away from all the push and stress and anxiety of this to say, let me catch up with myself. And that's what taking time for our souls to catch up is about. And I don't think we need any fancy techniques. There's a page in the book that my daughter hated because she said it took away all of her excuses. It says, there is no technique, simply sit, fall silent, and listen.
Yeah.
Just and use a good breathing technique. And the one I teach in Kaizen for couples is 4-7-8 breathing. You breathe in deeply through your nose for 4, hold for 7, let all the air out through your mouth for 8, and do it at least 3 times. And then just sit and catch up with yourself. It
Let me
makes a
tell
big difference.
Yeah, let me tell people what the experience is like if you do that. If you do that 3 times, your body's going to be in a different state than it was when you were going, pushing, pushing, pushing,
Yeah,
and something new is available.
that's
Especially
right.
even physically, it's available. Relaxation, stress hormones reducing, just feeling a sense of lightness instead of heaviness, getting back to a homeostasis place. Even if you're just doing it for your body, your mind and your life will align
Right,
much
and all
easily.
that comes from, your understanding as a hypnotherapist and my understanding and training in psychology. We have to know how our bodies work, and when we reoxygenate our bodies and get rid of the carbon dioxide consciously, purposefully, the body says, "Oh, thank you for that," and the brain can work again. So it gives us that opportunity to come upright. Do that 4-7-8 breathing at least 3 times, and then sit. Ask yourself, how am I doing? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What do I need? What do I want? In Kaizen for Couples, my book, I give extensive ideas for using this In fact, with my personal clients, I ask them to do that, set their cell phone alarms and do that 5 or 6 times a day. Get back in touch with, hey, I'm the one who's making the decisions and choices here. What am I up to right now? How am I doing? It's important because our topic of alignment today is you can't be aligned if your brain isn't in the game. So if it's like, what do I have to do? Where do I have to be? Oh, I don't have any money in my bank account. Oh, my marketing isn't working. Oh, that client really bothers me. If I'm all over the place like that and I don't come back to myself, then I don't have that alignment to give, and I won't like who I'm being, and I'll feel dissatisfied and not content, and you won't make the contribution you can make in the world today.
Yeah, so if you really want to be at your highest peak performance, take that time, even though it's counterproductive or counter logic. It's not counterproductive. It's actually very
Yeah.
productive, but it's counter to any logic you're thinking about being productive, right?
Yeah.
And somebody, we got to make our to-do list. We got to be efficient with our time. We got to, do XYZ steps. We got to call these clients. We got to, do. And that's fine. You're going to be in the best position to do that when you take some time to center yourself, get back into alignment, get really balanced, that bring that balance in, because then you can, check things off. You can see more clearly what is the highest priority to do, and be.
Yeah.
So when you can get that clarity and you can rise above the frenetic energy of, I got to go do, be, have, satisfy all these people, you come from a place of empowerment and you actually attract a whole lot more. So,
Yeah, you have to remember that we're an energy source. So whatever frequency we're putting out is what we're going to attract. So
right.
if you're going like, oh, I've got so much to do and I'm not going to get it all done, and I don't like myself when I feel like this, you know, what are you going to attract? You know, how about saying, oh, I get to be the energy source I want to be? Next week, Laura, I'm just going to take this moment to say I'm giving an introductory webinar on Thursday, and it's called Reclaiming Hope,
Mm,
Renewing Your Rights. And we have 7 rights as human beings that are built into us when we're children, and they need revisiting when we're adults to make sure that we're according ourselves those rights. And this is right in alignment with what we're talking about, because if you've got some missing pieces, like when I work with my private clients and couples and companies, I want to look for those missing pieces where you're not giving yourself those rights. Those rights haven't been given or accepted by you, and you're not operating from them. And that will cause our frequency to go way off.
mm,
And then, we're not in the game. We're not. There's some constructed person over here that we think is us, but we're not fully in the game. And so there's so much that we can do that helps us create this alignment that we're talking about. And, if anybody is interested in that webinar, just go to For Relationship Help and click on classes, and you'll see it. It's free. It's not free. It's $29, but it's 19 minutes, and it's limited to just a few people, so you get your questions answered. But we
wow,
have
that's awesome.
we have to really be with ourselves in order to have or do what we're capable of doing and having.
Yes, because when we are connected, we can take in more. We can really decipher what's important and live those values. So if you didn't get anything out of what we've talked about so far, it's about living from your values and what's most important to you so that you can feel like this whole creative being that you are and give the best contribution that you can. And things are going to be in your way. And it's completely normal to
Yeah.
have blocks and barriers and things come up and whatever. But if we use it from the perspective of how can I address this to help my life? How is this a gift in my life? That is like the most, I guess, empowered way to live, or the optimal way to keep growing, and getting to your dreams, to feeling really great about your life, to having the relationships you want in your life. If you're out of alignment, how can you be in relationship at work, at home, out there on the dating scene, wherever you are, with your friends, get in line with yourself. Everything else comes into place.
Yes. You just said a word that is so important, and that was the word empower.
Mm,
Somebody else doesn't do that for you. You do
mm,
that for you. So I'm just, giving props to what you said, is that if what Laura was just talking about, if you're not giving it to yourself, don't expect some fairy godmother to come along and do that for you.
when is it my turn? When am I going to get? When you give it to yourself, it comes back to you, right?
That's right, because who is your primary relationship in life in this world? You.
Hmm.
Right. And I was writing about it on the blog the other day, and I did write a blog about the rights too, so if you're interested in that. But I was writing about it because people honestly believe somebody's going to give them something and then they're going to be okay. you know
Ha ha ha.
and yet you don't give something to yourself. Like I do free consultations, half-hour free consultations. I was talking with somebody and she said, well, I'm going to marry this guy in 6 months, and she's got this litany of things that she's worried about and the things he's shown her over the last 8 months, and all and all. And I said, well, would you like to hear how to work with me? And she said yes. And then she said, oh, well, I would never pay for that. And I said to her, honey, do you have any idea how expensive it's going to be to have a wedding, move in, and have a divorce, and how much emotional cost there's going to be? If you're not going to invest in yourself to get straight and not make major glaring errors, are you going to pay for the mop up? Because you're going to pay for a long time, emotionally, physically, financially, and spiritually, in every possible way. And right now, there's a problem, and you're just not going to get the help you need to fix it. Better jump in and make a real mess of everybody's lives. And she has children she's bringing into the mix. Like, I didn't say all that to her, but I'm thinking, really, the cost potential of what you're going to do as compared with the time, energy, and money it would take to get your head together and your heart and head aligned. Oh, priceless, as they say.
Well, she's going to pay for is what she's ultimately doing one way or another.
And much more.
And much more. Yeah, so pay now or pay massively later, it sounds like. Yeah, so we can't stress enough how important getting in alignment and really looking. And we're really good at rationalizing, shall we say. So I want to just encourage everyone to check out your webinar. And why don't you put the link and the title into the... and we got Momo. Welcome for the first time on Blab. We're excited you're here. So, and then, just get that webinar. Tell me the name of it again.
Reclaiming Hope, Renewing Your Rights.
forrelationshiphelp.com is where you can find that. And I want to let everybody know, yes, so once you're in alignment, you can do all kinds of creative things with your business. So you know who you are. You can take advantage of tools like Blab and Google Hangouts and do video. And when you come across on video, you come across really strong, really empowered, like we were saying, and clear. You have something to offer people because you're not worried about all this other stuff. You're just like focused in on what your contribution is, right? So I have a free webinar coming up on Thursday. It's a kind of a preview into the Global Influence Summit, but I'm doing a talk on, what am I doing it on? It's called Revolutionizing Your Business Through Social Media and Launching Your Own Internet TV Show. So if you want to listen in on that, I'll put the link in the Blab chat here. And if you guys have questions, feel free to, type it /Q and or say hello here in the chat. We'd love to welcome you in officially because we are, go ahead.
I want to say something about the difference between who we are and who at home and who we are at work, because this is often something that causes you great tension. And I'll put it this way: who you are at work, who you are at home, or who you are out in the community. I work with individuals and couples all over because of the magic of the internet, just like we're connecting today. And what I know is that I hear couples who talk to their partners in a way they would never talk to the checkout person in the grocery store,
Mm.
right?
What's that all about?
Yeah. And we have this thing, it seems, that we feel that because we can let our hair down and let it all hang out with our partner, that we don't have to be respectful or thoughtful or polite or courteous or say thank you because they know us. It's exactly backward. So we take who we are in the community and who we are at home, and that may not be aligned. And then sometimes we, on the job or in our work as an entrepreneur, we've got this bubbly up, wow, and at home we're like, ugh, what's going on? You want to have that same smooth, velvety, wonderful, aligned, integrated self everywhere you go.
And we can't do that sometimes. Why does that saying exist? We hurt the ones we love the most. What's going on there that happens?
Well, part of my work you alluded to earlier is that, my new book, The Untitled Chapter, is all about, well, the subtitle says it all, loving someone who shoves you away yet demands that you stay. So chronically difficult people. And what it's about is that this is going to be an interesting metaphor. If it doesn't sit well with you, I'm sorry. But we get a lot of stuff in our early life, which I call manure, and then what happens is we learn manners and we learn how to the world expects us to be and how to turn it on and how, all the make nice stuff. So what that is it's putting whipped cream on the manure. Mm-hmm. Right? Now, there's a problem with that because manure is warm and it slowly melts the whipped cream. And what therapy is about to me, and this is the bottom line where the metaphor is turning the manure into fertilizer so that you can grow, right? So if we're operating from a place where we think we got a gotcha, like now you're mine, now I can let my hair down, now I don't have to court you, I don't have to attract you, I don't have to do these things, then slowly but surely who we are at the base level starts to come out. And what we're doing is we're putting our whipped cream on when we go out in the world. And I suggest that we all turn the manure into fertilizer because we need to. Wouldn't you like the best life possible, the one that makes you feel the best, that lets you have no anxiety about who you are and how you are in the world, that you can live assertively and really attract what you want? Well, that's an inside job. But if you're not that person all the time, including at home with the ones that you say you love the most, you got a problem. And that problem is that you created habits and choices that are perpetuating the problem, and you don't have to do that. You can choose again. But like fish in a fishbowl, you don't know about the water. So my job as a relationship consultant is to say, come on over. I can see the fish, I can see the water, and I can see the bowl, and therefore I can help you, right? And people don't accord themselves that. They don't love themselves enough to have a guide on the side to help them walk through who they really want to be and how they really want to be in life. And you know that as a coach, just fix this. No, I can't fix this. We have to go deeper, right? And let that be the beginning of it. So when a couple comes to me, yes, we can do some skills and insights and strategies to fix something. But I say to them, you two are the people that you've brought to the relationship. How about we do some work together to see if you are the people you most want to bring to the relationship? And let's do that work simultaneously and make sure that the contributions we're making to the relationship are the ones we want to be making. Instead of blaming the other person for not doing or being or having what we want them to have, which are really deficits within ourselves we're projecting on them anyway.
And I love your analogy of, okay, so I want to add to that. I hear that during our early childhood, we get a lot of manure. We collect manure. And then when we become adults and we're growing up, we put whipped cream on top. That's what we bring to the world. But when we're in relationships, sometimes that manure just comes out. Ideally, we get some good counseling, coaching, therapy, personal growth work in, and we transform that manure into fertilizer. But what's really the base is this amazing being that you are.
Yes,
You were
that's
brought
what's
into
under
this
there.
world. Yes. So that's, I wanted to let everyone know there is this soul of you that you know is there, that is your best, that is your authentic self, that is the gift and the contribution. It comes out in various ways. There's little grassy things coming out, but we want to really use the manure to fertilize that and help you blossom even more. And of course, Roberta's does that at forrelationshiphelp.com. You can, and she's got a great webinar coming up this what day was that?
A week from Thursday,
Week from
February
Thursday,
4th. Uh-huh.
February 4th, on this Thursday at the link that's at theglobalinfluencesummit.com/masterclass/Laura. The link, by the way, is in the chat box, so you don't have to worry about that. You can go and get a sampling of the preview of the Global Influence Summit, or if you want to read my blog and talk to me, transformtoday.com is where you can find my information. I am passionate about people bringing out their authentic value in their through their business and being able to express that. One of the reasons I wrote the book, Social Media Myths Busted, the Small Business Guide to Online Revenue, is because too many people make excuses. And we were talking about excuses before, right? For not using social media. And it is one of the key elements in marketing today. And so if you want to break through those myths and start opening up to possibility as you're aligning yourself and open up to that possibility on social media, then I'd recommend the book.
I
Social media.
recommend it too because I did a couple of things that Laura suggested that, I'm very active on social media and I invite you to join me there. But I got some great tips and I increased engagement enormously. So definitely read the book. And what you're hearing about what Laura just said about, being who you are online and being who you really are, and what we're saying about that beautiful soul that you are underneath that came in just perfect and beautiful and filled with light. And maybe you got some of that light obscured with a little manure. Just know that we can find that again. And when you do that, your life and your business are going to change. And you're going to be so much happier with it. And yeah, you may lose a person or two along the way. And you may lose a couple of old selves of you too, because you no longer need them or want them. But wow, why not live free? Why not live empowered? Why not live happy? Because all those things are an inside job. Nobody's making you miserable. Nobody's making you unhappy. Nobody's making you stuck. Those are choices. And we'd love to help you do that. This is why we call the show Transforming Your Relationships. Because whether it's business or work or whatever, the common factor is you.
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah.
And the relationship you have with yourself. And, it sounds really trite, but it's not easy, having that good relationship with yourself and bringing out the best of you. And that's our goal this year, is to help you do that. Find that best you, turn that manure into fertilizer and blossom. Bring it out in the world, give you strategies to do so, tips and insights. And it's an exciting time when you're transforming yourself, your relationship with yourself, and then watch what happens. You have more capacity to transform relationships with others. You're no longer demanding or criticizing, judging, and if you are, they're actually red flags to, oh, what's going on with me that I feel I need to criticize?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what am I not a good with in myself? My husband likes to say, you can't upset a happy person.
There you go. Happiness is an
Or
inside job.
or you can't insult a happy person, because it's like they don't believe the insult, they don't take it on, and because they're happy. It's like, oh,
Right.
you think my hair is green and ugly? No, it's not.
Yeah, well, let me give you a little story about that because I know we're almost out of time. But, say somebody imaginary, they're going to say something to you, and imagine their words are a javelin, and they're going to throw it at you, and you can see it coming. And so, because I know Laura so well, I'll use Laura as an example. Laura says to me, Rhoberta, I hate what you're wearing. And there goes the javelin. If I'm not centered and I don't know who I am and I haven't done my work and I don't feel good about it, I go out and meet that javelin and I stick it in myself and I say, oh, I know I never should have bought this. It's the wrong color, but it was on sale. And, oh, should I go home and change? But if I am that happy centered person that really knows who I am and what I value, I see that javelin coming and I step to the side and I let it go back and I say, that wasn't about me, it's about Laura. So, Laura, what don't you like about it? And now we have a conversation where I can learn about Laura because it wasn't about me. But if I haven't done my own work, I'm like, oh, don't let all that stuff come at me because I'll take it in. And we don't have to do that. And that's what we really want everybody to know is that, yeah, it takes some work. Yeah, it takes a ton of willingness. But why not? You can't do it any younger. Why not have the very best life possible for you, which will spawn a good relationship with all the people in your life and will spawn you in a good relationship with your work and with your world. And you will have that internal happiness when you're in alignment.
And I love that example because what it points to is what someone else is, quote unquote, throwing at you is not about you, it's about them.
Exactly.
And when you can disengage from the fact that it's personal to you, you can be present and use that as a gift and also cause a transformation for them possibly.
Yeah, and that person who threw that at you, that could have been mom or dad, which is what got you off the rights that I'm going to talk about next week, because you had to take what they served. You ate what they had on the menu. And maybe it doesn't serve you well, and maybe it's been upsetting you for a long time. So you're the one who gets to choose your menu now. And sometimes we have to go back and really clean up the gut, right? To find out what will make the system work in the best way for you and your body and your values. Not anybody else, not what works for anybody else. It's you, and that's your opportunity.
Amen, sister. Give those props. So we are excited. This was a great first topic for the year, and we are going to be back next week and with Tuesday, 10 o'clock Pacific, with another great topic. And we're headed into the month of love with the Valentine's Day coming up in February. So please feel free to join us again. We'll have the blab up. We'll be promoting it, and we welcome you back. And if you'd like to have a free consultation with Rhoberta, please go to forrelationshiphelp.com/free-consult. You can see it on her homepage as well. You can certainly contact me, and we will talk getting your business aligned as well. So we will see you next week. Have a great, profitable, and loving, most of all, week. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.